So this morning, Al Franken, resigned amid new accusations of sexual misconduct. At 11:40 a.m. Eastern Time on December 7th, Minnesota Senator Al Franken is resigning amid multiple sexual misconduct allegations. Once a rising star in the Democratic Party, Franken made the announcement in a speech Thursday on the Senate floor. The two-term lawmaker has repeatedly apologized as several women stepped forward to accuse him of sexual inappropriate behavior, from groping to forcibly trying to kiss them. But a fresh allegation on Wednesday unleashed a torrent of Democratic demands that Franken step aside. Female senators led the chorus. Franken is an actor who appeared on... Yeah, we know who he is. So these allegations first surfaced on November 16th. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine was asking about a number of sexual harassment claims filed against senators and staffers, along with the amount of money spent on a settlement of harassment cases. The House has revealed it paid $84,000 in taxpayer money to settle a sexual harassment complaint against Texas Republican Congressman Blake Farenthold. Settlements by senators, if any, have not been made public. So, a couple things. First of all, Al Franken needs to step down. He needs to step down. The questions that I have here, first of all, forcibly trying to kiss somebody and groping somebody is wrong. It's inappropriate. It's creepy, but it's not the same as what, like, Harvey Weinstein is being accused of rape. That's a felony. Harvey Weinstein needs to go to prison. So to lump them as the same thing is not accurate. Overall, needing to have a conversation, especially like men, need to be held accountable for their behavior. Men need to be like, hey man, don't say that. Don't make that joke. That's not cool. Just on a basic level, men need to really I remember being a younger man and a teenager in my early 20s, and the way me and my buddies would talk about girls and stuff like that. And I'm sure women, when they're all together, talk about men and sex and stuff. But I think we need to, there's nothing, trim that way back, just as men in general, because I think it helps create an environment where this kind of stuff can happen. And, I don't have any kids of my own, but I do have 6 nieces and nephews. And my 3 nephews are like teenage boys, and I know they all have moms and sisters and dads that are like, hey, this is the best way to act. And I've talked to them about how to act correctly. But I want to talk about this, though, from a political standpoint. I'm glad people are being held accountable. I'm glad if you screw up, because we've talked about this a lot on my film podcast, Comedy Film Nerds, about all the showbiz people. Kevin Spacey getting fired, Louis C.K., Harvey Weinstein, they're getting fired. They're losing their jobs, their shows are, and that's good, because in show business specifically, awful people keep getting rewarded. And even just like women I know that have gotten famous, they're just assholes. There's this thing in show business, like, once you get some power, now you can shit on everyone below you. And a lot of people do that. So I'm glad people are being held accountable. I'm glad we're having a conversation about this. But specific to politics, Al Franken stepping down, okay. These accusations came forward, he's stepping down. Then why the hell is Trump still in the White House? He has rape allegations against him. I mean, if Al Franken is losing his job for groping people and being a creep, okay, as well he should, then someone that's worse than that, how are they still in power? How do they still have a job? Do you see what I'm saying? And not making excuses for Al Franken at all. I liked him as a politician, but if this is how he acts, he's a fucking creep and an asshole, and he needs to go. But you also have to wonder, if these Republicans are doing this to get Al out of there because he's like, resisting them, then anybody then needs to go. I mean, I'm telling you, if female Democratic senators were asking for Al Franken's resignation, great. then these female Republican senators better step forward and get these creepy Republican guys out of there. This sets a pretty powerful precedent. It sets a pretty powerful precedent. And great, get all the creeps out of there. Get them all out of there. And, I want to see more of this. I want to see people held accountable. There's no accountability in America. It's always somebody else's fault. So I'm glad people are getting fired, and saying, wow, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, doesn't make you a hero. You're a creepy asshole that got caught, and now that's why you're apologizing. And the thing I don't understand, and again, I've talked about this at great length on Comedy Filmers, but especially with the celebrities like Louis C.K. or even Matt Lauer, when you're rich and powerful, especially as a rich, powerful man and famous, you have a bunch of beautiful women that'll gladly have consensual sex with you. I don't understand this. I don't understand the need to watch me whack off or be I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it at all. I would never want to be with anyone that was even ew, in the slightest with anything I was doing. To me, the whole turn on is a woman that's super into it. Isn't that what you want sex to be? Is this person that you're really attracted to and they're really attracted to you? And it's oh yeah, isn't that? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And then if you're wealthy and powerful, you have all these people I don't understand it. And then the wanting to degrade people, and I don't know what the hell's going on. But, we need to look at all of it. In the last 3 weeks, 3 female teachers, high school teachers, were arrested for having sex with teenage male students. And while there's plenty of male teachers that have done that with female students and male students, that's more prevalent than anything, a female student having sex with a teenage boy. And we need to talk about that too. We need to talk about, because when I was as a younger man, and this is part of society's problem, so that when those 3 women came out, the story wasn't, everyone wasn't oh my God, women, what are they doing to our teenage sons? And oh my God, there wasn't this overall outcry against women like there is with all of this against men. And again, it's pretty warranted. Men need to be held more accountable. But if we just we just talk about that, we don't go past just holding men accountable, then we're in trouble. Because as a younger man, I remember saying stuff like, oh, I wish when I was 15, a hot teacher would have had sex with me. That would have been awesome. As the older I get, I realize, no, these are women that were in positions of power, positions of authority. They're abusing their power. They're using sex to manipulate a minor. And a 15-year-old boy is thinking about sex every 5 seconds. So it's pretty easy to manipulate that child into doing whatever you want him to do. And my question is, these teenage boys that had this happen, sure, it kind of felt consensual because they enjoyed the sex they were having with these women. And sure, an older, beautiful woman that's more sexually experienced than a teenage. I remember some of my first sexual experiences was with another girl my age, and it's awkward, and so an older woman that's wow, showing me how to, that would have been awesome. But it's still messing, it's still manipulative. There still is the woman still has power over this kid. And what's his opinion of women going to be when he's 25 or 35 or 45? We need to talk about that. We need to talk about, I know a lot of guys that I've met that are real misogynists. Almost all of them had some awful abusive woman in their life. I'm not excusing what they did. I'm not excusing their behavior, but we have to ask why. Because if we skip over why just to get to punish, we're never going to get to prevent. Isn't that what we want as a society, to change things, to change the culture? So we need to look at all of this. Men need to look at how they look and view women, but we need to look at how we treat men. And if you go to the website 1in6.org, that's the number of men that have been sexually assaulted. And it happened when they were children, for the most part. And a large portion of them were sexually abused or sexually mistreated by women. Plenty of men have sexually abused children, but there's women out there sexually abusing children as well. And this isn't, I'm not saying this to be like, whoa, who's worse, men or women? This isn't some sort of gender battle. I'm saying we need to have an overall discussion because there's some aspects of it that aren't discussed. So we got to ask why. We got to get to the why. And asking the why isn't excusing Louis C.K., Harvey Weinstein. I'm not excusing them by asking why. But what happened? Because, I've met a lot of people. I meet a lot of people in what I do. And, I'm in some support groups and I've met people that, men and women, that were severely abused by women when they were small children. And so how does that manifest itself? And we got to ask this question, and toxic masculinity, which I've talked about a lot on this show, we're in a constant state of war, so that creates toxic masculinity. So anything that's soft or feminine or sensitive is viewed as weak. But that pervades all of our society. Men all the time with each other, like, oh, man up, don't be a pussy. But I've heard that from some women. I've been told by some women, oh, when a man cries, I think he's weak. I've seen plenty of women say, oh, I want a sensitive guy that shows his emotions. And then the guy shows his emotions and the women are like, ooh, not that much. Aren't you going to get over this soon? I was going through some personal stuff about some things that had happened to me when I was younger. And I had a girlfriend who initially was there for me, but I was going through a lot of heavy, heavy emotions. And eventually she was like, oh boy, get over it. So what do you think? How do you think that manifests itself? When a boy or a teenager or an adult man is told, Jesus, man up, stop crying. That guy's going to go, oh, he's going to maybe react with aggression or fuck you or I'm an asshole or I'm weak and then I need to come back with more strength. That creates a bad environment. So we as a society need to really look at this. Everyone needs to look in the mirror. Everybody needs to look in the mirror. Every guy's asking himself, have I done something creepy? Have I been inappropriate? Did I make a joke I shouldn't have? Did I put my hands where I shouldn't have? Every guy's asking himself this, and that's great. Every guy should ask himself this. And every woman needs to ask herself, did I do something inappropriate? Did I make a guy feel less than because he was being vulnerable with me? Did I know some moms, some single moms who were like, ooh, because I know plenty of people who are like, they weren't molested, but their moms or their older sisters or an aunt or an older woman did really kind of inappropriate, weird shit. Plenty of men have done that to women as well. But I'm saying we need to have the conversation. And part of it is when men are sexually abused as children, they are even less likely to talk about it. Anyone that's sexually abused feels a lot of shame and anger and rage and all this stuff, but they're less likely to talk about it. So we need to have this conversation. I'm not gonna solve it here on this whatever 15-minute video, but we need to all have this conversation. We need to all ask ourselves. My friend Paul Gilmartin does this podcast, Mental Illness Happy Hour, and he on his show talked about some really inappropriate shit that his mom did with him when he was a kid. And afterwards, he got emails from a lot of women who were, have young sons, and they're like, man, thank you for telling me. I didn't know. There's a thing called emotional incest, where it's like, and this can happen to boys or girls, but like the parent, the opposite sex parent is like, and for boys specifically, it's like a mom going, oh, mommy's little guy, and it makes things very confusing. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a scientist, I'm not any of these things, but I'm meeting a lot of people and we're having a lot of conversations, and the conversations I'm having with people and things that I'm learning are not consistent with, this is a shocker, with what the mainstream media is talking about. So we need to have these conversations. We really do. And what is creating this environment? Because if we figure out what's creating this environment, and I'm not saying it's one thing, and that's the problem in America. We just want to say it's this, fix this, it's that group, stop that group, or make this pass this one law, and boom. It's a cultural problem. This is a cultural problem. And it might take a generation to fix, but we got to start talking about it now. And, you know, going back to Al Franken, we need to hold every senator accountable and every politician accountable, especially the one that's in the White House. So I know this sort of started as just a specific thing, and I made this a much broader discussion, but I really want to have this discussion. You know, I want to talk about it more. So thank you for watching the show and listening and supporting the Patreon. I know it's the holidays, but we need a little more. There's many ways to support the show. You can shop using the Amazon affiliate link. If you're going to shop on Amazon, use my affiliate link, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. I just get a little referral fee for you buying through my affiliate link. It's in the show notes below. December 17th. It's the first ever episode of Custer's Last Stand-Up. It's a Native American stand-up comedy show that I'm directing and emceeing. It's December 17th. The link is at grahamelwood.com, which is below. Go to the Patreon, and thanks for watching.